On today's Domain Sherpa show, I interview the founder of a drop-catching service that focuses on .io, .ly, and .me top-level domains. Why do I think it's worth your time as an investor to watch this show? Because I picked up a .io domain name for $1,655 and in 30 days flipped it for $6,000. Stay tuned. I have 3 sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. Nichewebsites.com can build you a site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. Nichewebsites.com. Second, if you're buying or selling a domain name or portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estabot.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estabot.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. Finally, whether you're buying, selling, brokering, or financing a domain name, you need an escrow company that's properly licensed, bonded, insured, and audited. That company is escrow.com, and they've been doing it since 1999. Escrow.com. It's about trust. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger, and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you can learn how to become a successful domain name investor or entrepreneur directly from the experts. I can't remember how I stumbled across the drop-catching service we're going to learn about today, but I picked up a domain name for $1,655 that I thought would do well selling on the mostly technology-oriented marketplace called Flippa.com. The domain name was php.io. And if you know anything about programming, you know that PHP is by far the most common server-side language on the internet. It's used by Facebook, by WordPress, by Amazon. So it's not surprising that I flipped that domain name for $6,000 in 30 days and a profit after broker's fees of about $3,450 or 200% over my initial investment. And I'm going to let you in on my secret, even though it pains me to do so, because I'll likely never get another deal on the drop catching service again when you start going there. Today, I'm pleased to welcome the founder of Park.io, Mike Carson. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to ask you, Mike, to share your screen and walk us through the Park.io service. But I first want to understand a little bit more about the background of Park.io. Why did you build Park.io?
Well, I've always been into technology and launching sites. And so I tried to get some .io domains, and I was really vigilant around it, and I was watching it. I even had a script checking it, but still somebody else beat me. And they got the domain that I wanted, and it's really frustrating. And so what I did is I learned more about it. I wanted to figure it out, and then I figured out more about it, when they drop, what time they drop, which ones are dropping. And then I got into the whole thing. I started writing scripts around it, and I got better. It got more competitive. I figured out there's a couple other people out there who were also doing it, and so we were competing with each other, and my scripts improved, and they got to a point where they were beating everyone. And so at that point, I thought I might as well open this up and make it because there were no other .io backorder services out there. So decided to.
Right. And so why .io? First of all, what is .io for anybody that doesn't know what it is?
.io stands, I guess, for Indian Ocean, but for hackers, it's input output. And yeah, I mean, basically that's what it's about. It's .io. Us hackers see it as input output, and a lot of tech companies, like I read Hacker News all the time, and a lot of the sites that are going up there, a lot of the other computer programmers who are launching sites are doing .io. So it stands for Indian Ocean, and I think it's run by the British government, but yeah, it's input output.
Okay, so it's a country code top level domain for the Indian Ocean and underlying whatever.
Yeah.
And and hackers like it. You mentioned Hacker News, and I used to read Hacker News pretty regularly at news.ycombinator.com. When you say hackers, these are, how do you describe hackers in a sentence?
In a sentence, well, a hacker is it's just somebody who loves to figure things out and build things. That's how I see it.
On the programming things, right? Like services or offerings through a website.
Usually, it doesn't have. I mean,
Usually.
electronics. There could be electronics hackers or other types. Yeah, but
okay, great. Yeah. And a lot of the hackers see the .io, and they've just over the years sort of affinitized towards that. They see a lot of their hacker friends using .io, so then they want to pick up a .io as well.
Yeah, and now there's a meaning behind it. Now .io isn't. It has a has a culture behind it, and it when you see a .io domain, at least when I do, and other people, it's like we know a little bit more about what it's about before we even go to it, and that's where I think a lot of the value is coming from it too. Is this whole momentum behind it and the culture behind it. Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. So, and this momentum behind it wasn't created by a new top-level domain that's just been launched like the hundreds of new top-level domains. This is one that's been out for a while. What do you, a quick side note, what do you think about all these new top-level domains like .app, which is going to be launched in 2015, .store, .web, you name it?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I think, personally, what I think is they need to have success. If there's a successful company built on these domains, and people have a role model, or it starts to develop a culture around the TLD, then I think people will gravitate towards that for that reason. That's why I think .io domains, there's a whole culture behind it, and so that there's value from that. And I think if they can do that, which I think that needs to be led by people building products on those TLDs, then they'll have value that way. That's my opinion. I don't know that much about. I mean, I've only been in domains for like a year, so that's
for just a year.
Yeah.
That's when you first started writing this script before you commercialized it and offered to others. You've only been doing this for about a year.
Yeah.
When did you launch the Park.io service?
It was just last June, the end of June of last year.
June 2014.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And what top-level domains will you try and drop catch for people?
Right now on Park.io, we do .io, .ly, and .me.
Okay, and .ly is the country code top-level domain for Liechtenstein, I think? Or Libya?
Libya.
Yeah. And .me is the country code top-level domain for another country.
Montenegro, yeah.
Right. So why country code top-level domains? What drove you to these three to first launch the service?
Well, so .io is the whole. I mean, they're all around basically the culture of like. So .io is a kind of a domain. It's input output. We've kind of changed the TLD to mean input output. And .ly, it's used as for domain hacks, like for example, Boldly, or actually locally sold for like $100,000. So it's just you can create these cool hacks, and it doesn't really mean like Libya doesn't. It's not. It's kind of not as important as the hacks that you can make around it. And same with the .me too. It's like, I guess it's it's just the things that I'm interested in, because you can create the hacks with the names around it. And also, there weren't any backorder services for .ly or .io. So so I created it to provide a service for that.
Cool. So if I go to Park.io today and I want to create a back order for one of the .ios, and we'll see exactly how it works, how much does your service cost?
It doesn't cost anything to place an order, and you're only charged if you get the domain. So if you place a back order for a domain, and we get the domain for you, and you're the only person that placed the back order, it's a $99 fee. If another person places a back order also, then it goes into a 10-day public auction. So
10-day public auction, and anybody who's signed up for Park.io can participate in that auction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And, I've seen $99 if I'm the only one that sees the domain name going to auction and places a bid. That's not too much of a profit for you, because if I go to nic.io, nic.io, the registry for.io, it's going to cost me £60 based in the United States to register a .io domain name, which is about $90.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's a small fee, yeah, if it's only one, but a lot of the profit comes from the auctions. So
Right.
yeah.
And so basically, you're going to go out and grab the domain name if there's one or more bidders, and then you grab it for regular reg fee, and then you're opening up to whoever wants to bid on it. The market value will be determined at that point.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. What's the most expensive domain that you've sold in auction through your service, that your service was able to catch quickly and then sell?
It was smtp.io. There were a few people, I guess people were watching so what we do is when I say we, I just mean me. I do that all the time. I don't know. Once you become a website, you start referring to yourself as we. But anyway, when when Park.io gets a domain, we change the DNS to redirect to Park.io. So, for example, smtp.io, when we got that, we redirect it to the auction page. And so that's how a lot of people find Park.io, is that they were looking at smtp.io because they wanted to register it when it was dropping. And when we got it, they saw, and so then they go to the auction and start bidding on it. And that's where there was quite a few companies that wanted smtp.io, and it ended up SendGrid got it for $6,385 or something like that.
And SMTP is a technical acronym. What does it stand for?
Oh, good question.
Come on, Mike, you can do
it. Something mail protocol. I don't. It's
mail transfer protocol. I don't know what the S is either. But yeah, if you ever set up your iPhone and you want to connect it to your mail server, you need to enter in either POP servers or SMTP servers.
Yeah,
something technical. So some companies really wanted it, and SendGrid, a large software as a service provider, actually picked it up.
Yep.
Nice. And so you actually wrote the script yourself. You're not just the guy that had this idea, hey, there's no drop catching services, I'm going to start one and go hire a programmer to build it. You are the business owner and you are the programmer.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I feel like for me, the whole reason I got into it is because I was interested in how it all worked and figuring out the most efficient way to get a domain the instant that it drops. And I think the only way you can really do something that way, this is, just my opinion, but I feel like if I just hired a programmer, they wouldn't have the enthusiasm behind it to make it as good as it is. I'm proud of this script because it works so well. So for the first 6 months, I launched in June, and through December, we got 100%. 100%. So we're perfect. Every single .io domain that was ordered on Park.io, and this is hundreds of orders, we got every single one. Like, nobody could beat us. And
wow.
So and the reason it got so good is because I was just really interested, and also it's competitive. Like, months before, there's somebody who's every once in a while would beat me, but yeah.
I can attest to that. I think I've purchased 4 or 5 domain names through your service, and every single one I've either caught, every single one has been caught. In most cases, I was the only bidder, which probably doesn't say much about my investing skills. But then some of them that you did catch did go to auction, and I won them for more. So yeah, I will attest to that. Do you find that most of your customers, most of the registered users of Park.io are investors, or do you find a lot of end users who have discovered .io, a lot of hackers who have discovered .io and figured out that Park.io is the best catcher of those expiring names?
I think mostly, right. It's mostly domain investors, and those are the regular users because honestly, it's a way to get discount domains and sell them for more. And I know a lot of users have even get them for $99 and then sell them for thousands. But every once in a while, like I said, I redirect the domain to park.io. So some end users who are looking for that specific domain find park.io through that way.
Yeah. Do you track domains that sell that you catch at drop.io because an investor or a user wanted to pay you to catch it, and then track them to find out what they sell for later on?
I mean, I am active on Flippa, so I watch that a lot, and also I keep in touch with some of the users, and they tell me. And on the blog, I post a lot of success stories about people who have flipped it. Yeah.
What's the range that great.io domains typically go for on Flippa?
Well, it's increasing. I mean, I think just like a year ago, there weren't many .io domains on Flippa, and now it's getting pretty. So, but I still think there's a lot of potential for growth. I mean, I think right now the best one, the highest ones on Flippa are going for. I think SEO.io went for 11,000. So, but yeah, they're on. If you look at some of the sales history of .io domains, there have been a few for like 30, 40,000, but then it's mostly like 5 to 10,000.
So SEO.io was actually mine, but I didn't buy it through your service. They are definitely heating up. So anywhere from reg fee up to $10,000, you'd say is the range for .ios right now? For good .ios, not like I don't know, coffeemug.io. That's not going to sell on Flippa, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems that way. I guess for people who are willing to sell right now, if you want to hold, I bet you can get something later on, but it seems right now the things that are selling are going for around that.
Yeah. What about the .ly and .me domain names? Do you see those picking up and gaining steam and selling for a few $1,000s on Flippa as well?
.ly definitely has a lot of interest, and I don't think they have the buzz right now that .io does, but it's still, they're selling pretty well, I think. I mean, I've seen a lot, and I've personally sold some for pretty well. So, but .me, I don't see as much interest as I have with the .ly and .io, but maybe it's because I don't have as many good ones, or I haven't seen as many good ones sell on Flippa, but I just don't see as much interest now as I do for the other ones.
And what kind of, you mentioned that hackers were interested in .ios. Is that who you see actually paying the retail market price for the .ios and the .lys today? People that want to develop them out into businesses?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of people, see the culture behind it, and so they, want to launch their product inside of that. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, let's do this. Let's flip to conversation, start screen sharing, and then I'm going to do a screen capture as you walk us through the park.io service.
So yeah, when you come to park.io, we show a list of the domains that are dropping in the next week. So,
hey, Mike, before we get into that, let me clarify that the URL in the address bar is park.io.dev. That's your development server. If people go to park.io, they'll see your homepage, which describes the service. And if they want to get access to the application, it's at app.park.io. So those are the two URLs, park.io and then app.park.io.
Yeah.
Okay. And when somebody goes there, regardless of whether they're signed in or not, this is what they see on the app homepage.
Yep. Yeah, it shows a list of the domains dropping in the next week, starting with the ones that are dropping tonight. And then there's different tabs. So it starts with .io domains, but you can switch to .ly or .me. So if you want to buy a domain, you just click on it, and there's some...
There we go. I'm just going to get nervous for a second there for you.
There's some development things. So first you'll have to sign up. So you just create a username and password.
Uh-huh.
And then agree to our terms of service. You should click to read those.
What am I agreeing to there, Mike? It just says that I'm going to buy what I say I'm going to buy or something?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, go read the terms of service. And then when you come here and you find a domain name that you want to buy, you click on it or click the view.
Yeah, yep. And then you click on backorder domain.
Okay.
And you have to enter a credit card. Now, you're not going to be charged unless we get the domain for you. So, but you have to enter it just to secure the domain. So you type in your name here, email address, and then this is just a test card number. So then you just click to backorder the domain. And then it goes into your orders. So it's there. And then you can check your order. When you're logged in, you can click up here on the orders tab to see the status of your order. And over here, you can view the order.
And when does this one actually drop that your script would try and grab it?
I think, this is my development server, so this one might have been renewed, but it would have dropped today, probably. Today. Okay. So, yeah. So gotcha. You'll check later tonight or tomorrow to see if we got that for you.
Okay. And if you go, and your system will send an email if you're able to grab it as well.
Yep. Yeah, it'll send an email once we update the order.
Is there any way for me to know if somebody else has already placed a back order on a domain name, Mike?
No, there is not. So.
And why do you do that?
I don't know, actually. I guess it's just the way that I don't know. I guess, I don't know.
I don't know. At some point, you just decided that, hey, you got to have a good eye for these domain names, and if you can't spot the ones, then somebody else should benefit with not necessarily having to go to auction.
I guess maybe one of my concerns was that, if somebody would see the domain about to drop, and if they didn't see any other back orders, but they wanted it, they may not try to back order it themselves and get it, themselves.
Oh, right.
So.
Okay. All right. So let's click on that domains link at the top again. So basically there's sub-tabs that allow you to look at the next, I think you said 10 days of dropping domain names on each of those tabs?
Yeah. So you can page through here, look at all the different domains that are dropping in the next week.
Okay.
And then,
so look over this page right here, Mike, the .io ones that are dropping on February 2nd. Which one of these do you think, and these will already have dropped by the time this interview airs, but which one of these domain names do you think would sell well on Flippa? Sell for more than the $99, assuming there was only one person that put in a bid?
Well, personally, I think Sonic sounds like a nice one. Intuitive probably sounds good, but I mean, if there's no science behind this, it's just based on my experience from selling .io domains and also seeing products that are launched. I mean, it has to do, with like the brandability of it and just how it sounds really and what it means behind it. So
you'll actually buy brandables in the .io extension, whereas, a couple of the domains that I've sold on Flippa were short descriptives like SEO for search engine optimization or PHP for the software language. Do you recommend one way of investing over another? Because I know you've done some investment yourself.
Well, like I said, I'm kind of new to all of this, but I have sold a lot of .io domains, and have done a lot with .io domains. And I actually wrote this program that appraises .io domains, and I think it works pretty well. And I'm planning to launch this as a service for Park.io. So you can type in a .io domain and it'll appraise it. And it's specific to .io. Like this is, I think it does the most accurate appraisal out of anything I've seen on any of the services on the internet for .io domains.
Yeah, interesting.
And I use this for myself when I'm pricing a domain for sale or when I'm considering to buy a domain. I look at it to see what.
All right. I need access to that script, Mike. So yeah, let's get it up. All right. So that's the domain section. We talked about the order section. What's the auction section?
So yeah, this is where domains go if they if more than one person back ordered them. So, and then they go to a 10-day public auction and anybody can bid on them. So there's a list of auctions. If you go to the Park.io site, you'll see a list of the current auctions. And if you sign up for our email newsletter, every week you get an email with the auctions that are currently going on.
Gotcha. Now, I actually enjoy your newsletters, Mike, but I don't think that they come every week. Are those manual newsletters you're sending out, or are they automated to go out every week?
They are automated to go out every week.
All right, I need to check my spam folder then. So this is an example auction. If I click on it, I can see the current bid, I can see the number of bids, and then I can put in a bid myself.
Yeah.
And it's a nice, simple system. I love the fact that you've built this for simplicity, and it's going to look and operate the same on my phone as it does on the website. A lot of times the website is cluttered with a whole bunch of stuff, and then you have to go to the mobile version to get access to the simplicity. But you've done a nice job on this.
Thanks.
And so I notice on NameJet and other services that you actually have to have a bid in the auction in order to be a part of the private auction, which takes place after. Why did you decide to make it an open auction if there's more than one bid?
These are good questions, but I don't have good answers for a lot of them because I just I put it up, and a lot of the idea behind launching a site is like you just put something up there that works, and then based on feedback and how things go, you can change things. And so I just put this up as it was, and it seems to work okay so far. So
okay, great. And if people do sign up for your service and become customers and buy domains and have feedback for you, what's the best way to provide that feedback?
You can email support@park.io or Mike@park.io, and yeah.
And you do all the support, I've noticed from my interactions.
Yeah.
Which has been really fast, actually, for somebody that has another job, which I'm going to ask you about. So the last thing that I want to ask you about is, once I win a domain name on your service, how do I go about, setting the name server, setting a forward, getting the authorization code, the things that investors and entrepreneurs typically need to gain access and use the domain name?
Yeah, once you get an order, once you successfully get a domain name, then you can go to the orders tab, and the order will show up as green now that you have it, and it'll have the paid date and total there. And when you click to view it, inside here will be different options for updating the DNS. So you can update the name servers. There's some other options. I mean, a lot of it is really geared towards domain investors. Like you can set a TXT record if you want to verify, or you can do a URL redirect. And then also if you want to transfer it to another registrar, you can get the transfer auth code.
Great. And if I don't want to transfer it because your service is so simple and easy to use, can I actually renew domain names and keep them on Park.io? Yeah,
we're going to make that. I'll make that available. Like I just said, we just launched this in June, so that hasn't really come up yet.
Yeah.
It won't come up for another 5 or 6 months. But yeah, I'm going to make some options available for that.
Great. Any idea what the pricing is going to be? If it cost me $99 to grab it, what will a renewal be?
I'm not sure yet. I still have to figure that out, but it won't be any more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I buy a domain name and then I want to push it to a new user, a new owner, because I, let's say, sold it, is there a way to do that on Park.io?
Yeah, you can. Right now, you can just email me and I can take care of it.
Support@park.io.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it was very easy when I did that, so I appreciate that. I assume that if enough people ask you, you'll create a way to do that?
Yeah, basically.
Very cool. All right. Is there anything else on the website that you think we should take a look at?
I don't think so. I mean, the blog, there's some interesting stories, and just to point out, the the email newsletter, you have to go to the Park.io webpage and scroll to the bottom and enter your email here, and this will sign you up for the newsletter that comes out every week, and it has updates on auctions and also different updates from the blog and stuff.
Quick break from 3 sponsors of today's show. First, are you tired of being upsold and cross-sold when you buy or renew a domain? Then try the newest Registrar, being built from the ground up with a beautiful interface, competitive pricing, and 24/7 support. Uniregistry.com will surprise and delight you. The right domain can change your life. Uniregistry.com. Second, investing in Chinese domains is crazy hard without expert native language advice. Now, as a service to the Western domainer community, TLD Registry offers ChineseLandRush.com. Using ChineseLandRush.com will help you invest in Chinese domains with confidence and without knowing a word of Chinese. Finally, if you're buying a domain name from a private party and want to know what else they own, DomainIQ.com is the tool you should be using. View their entire portfolio, filter by Esterbot value, and be a better investor. $49.95 for 250 queries per month. Visit DomainIQ.com/portfolio to learn more. All right, so we walked through the service in detail so everybody gets an idea of how that works. You had mentioned before we did the tutorial, Mike, that you actually wanted to grab IOs yourself and then use them, and it's through optimizing the script that you decided, hey, I can make it available to other people as well. How many .ios did you grab in the past, year plus in writing this script?
I don't know, hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah. So.
Wow. And have you sold most of those, or what do you do with them?
I have a lot of them still. I've sold a lot of them also. So yeah, I'm selling them as I go. But yeah, it's been an interest. It's been fun. I mean, it's it's an interesting. It's interesting because it started out just as a hobby, and it is kind of a hobby. But then suddenly, like within a few months of writing this script, I had kind of like cornered the market and like dropping .io domains, and to such a level that people started complaining that they didn't think it was fair. They would complain to the registry and say that they didn't think it was fair, or that like there was some cheating involved or something. But I mean, it was all first come first served. It was just that the script was designed in a way that was really fast. But anyway, that's what made Nick.io eventually make their own backorder service.
So let me ask you about that. So Nick.io, NIC.io is the registry for the .io top-level domain. You can go there and look at their site and see that they've recently just offered a drop-catching service. I believe the way the service works, Mike, is that I can pay $50. Let's say I like smtp.io, the domain that SendGrid just picked up through your service for $6,000. Let's say I really like that and I want to be first in line when that expires and I want to catch it. I could sign up for your service. Well, no, I actually can't even sign up for your service to grab that because yours is only domains that are definitely set to expire in the next 10 days. But if I go to Nick.io, I can pay $50 and they will monitor it and I will be the first in line when it does expire, but it may never expire. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, you have to pay upfront £60, and that's
£60.
Yeah, and that's for a 2-year back order. Which you may never get it, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah, that seems really high. £60, $90 for something that may never expire.
Yeah.
At least at pool.com, where I used to grab domain names before I even realized there was a whole investing world out there, just for my own entrepreneurial activities. At least there I could transfer to another domain, and if it didn't get picked up, I could use it some other way.
Yeah.
There was a time limit, I believe, on it as well. But yeah, that's it's interesting. So they created that. I assume that if a domain name is expiring, and I put in the back order at Nick.io, because they own the game, they will probably beat out your drop catching service.
Yeah, it's guaranteed because
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that it's interesting because that just happened. So I've had to figure out what to do. And so what I've been doing is if I've been back ordering myself through their service and then putting it through Park.io. So, or there's things that, or just orders that drop regularly, then they can still be ordered in the same way. Yeah.
And will they take more than one back order at Nick.io like you do at Park.io?
No.
No, just one.
First come, first serve. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So you've back ordered a ton of great domain names. Actually, I discovered you were on Flippa selling domain names because I was tracking .ios because I was selling some of the .ios, and then I realized, hey, this is the guy that I've been emailing with. And you've got a ton of great .ios listed for sale on Flippa, and somebody can go look at your profile there. It's open to the public. You've got a lot of 2-letter domain names, 2-letter .ios. How much do you generally think those are worth?
I think they're, well, es.io recently sold last year for $30,000. But I mean, personally, I won't sell one of them for less than $2,000, and that's for the ones with the worst letters or something. So I think but I mean, I love them. I collect them. I think they're just. I mean, for me, it's just like they're so short. I mean, it's like it's 2-letter TLD and 2 letters, so it's as short as the shortest .com possible, 4 characters in total. It's just something that I don't know. It's just something.
That's funny that you collect them because they're not as cheap to collect as like a .com, right? Like a .com, you're only paying around $10 a year for them, whereas .io, one of the cheapest registrars, is charging $36 a year.
Yeah.
And Nick.io, if you have it directly with them, they'll charge you $90 a year. Now, I know they have volume discounts, but still, they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, they do make up for that. I mean, you can the sales for .ios is pretty good. I mean, it's so I even though they're expensive, I think it easily pays for itself, really.
Yeah. So you said the .io market was heating up. Do you think that it has a potential to cool off? Do you think hackers will become tired of .io at some point and stop using them?
Well, I mean, anything can happen. On the internet, things change, and so I don't think it's something that would change fast. So I think there would be some warning signs ahead of time, and right now it's going up. So I think the trend will just continue going up until it starts going down. But I think there'll be warning signs ahead of time. But yeah, I mean, things change. Who knows what the internet's going to be like? I mean,
what do you think one of the warning signs would be?
Well, probably. Well, there's like a couple that come to my mind. I mean, on Hacker News, if you stop seeing .io domains, .io services listed there with such frequency, if the frequency goes down, or on Flippa, if the sales go down, or even just personally, if you start getting less offers and stuff. So I think there would be plenty of warning signs ahead of time, and I don't think it would be something that would happen overnight. It would take years, probably.
Yeah. Do you use your own service right now to catch and buy .io domains?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you consider it a conflict of interest if you're bidding against me and I'm on the system, or?
Well, we don't bid. If there's I'll only do it if there's a domain I really want, and I won't list it on Park.io. I don't, because that came up right at the beginning when I launched it, and I decided I'm not going to bid in my own auction. So I do not bid on the Park.io auctions. But if there's a domain that I really want, I just won't list it on Park.io.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. I was looking through ICANN's accredited registrars because I wanted to figure out if Park.io was an accredited registrar, but it actually turns out you don't need to be accredited by ICANN for country code top-level domains. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great way to run a business when you don't have to deal with the bureaucracy of ICANN.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I've looked into the ICANN accreditation because of I thought about getting into like .com or something, but I don't know. I I I just want to stick with what the things that I'm interested right now. So
Yeah. Hey, Mike, there's no way I could come up with an idea like Park.io and then go on to Elance or freelancer.com and try and hire somebody to program what you've done. Like, the fact that that you've written the script and then you've optimized it over time and really honed down to make it as quick as possible and as effective as possible is something that's unique to the Park.io system. How have you gained so much experience in programming? What has allowed you to create this service?
well, I mean, I've always been interested in programming. I've been programming since I was a kid, and so I mean, it's just it's basically it's my interest in programming has just led me to do it a lot, and so I've gained that skill. So I think it's if you have an interest in that stuff,
Yeah.
get better. Yeah.
And is this your full-time job?
No, Park.io.
Yeah.
No, it's a side, just a thing I do.
May I ask what your full-time job is?
My full-time job, yeah, I've co-founded wisehive.com. It's a business, software as a service business. And so
Wisehive, WIZEHIVE. And what does Wisehive provide?
it's basically like an online database solution platform where you can intake a lot of data and make decisions based on this data. And so yeah, it's been going pretty well. I've been working on it for the last 6 years or so. So it's doing well.
Wow. And do you have a lot of customers on Wisehive? Is it bigger than Park.io?
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah.
And your role at Wisehive, I understand, is Chief Technology Officer.
Yeah.
So you do you roll up your sleeves and you actually do coding and architecture in your day job as you do on Park.io.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. I tried to understand what Wisehive was myself, and I'm not sure if journalists couldn't understand what you were offering back in 2009, or if your business has actually changed the model since 2009. In 2009, TechCrunch said that you were a group messaging and task management app like Yammer or Present.ly. And then in 2013, I read that you configure and deploy cloud-based products that help companies organize, automate, and streamline their business activities. Seems like a difference between those two descriptions.
Yeah, we pivoted a little bit because we found that there was more of an interest and more usefulness, it seemed like, in doing it, like taking what we had, the collaboration idea, and using that to collaborating around data more, and making it more about the data and the processes behind that. So.
Yeah. Cool. Knowing your background as a CTO and your understanding of domain names and their value, most domain investors I know would love to work with somebody like you, a technologist, a programmer. What advice do you have to investors who are not technical, but have great domain names and a great business idea, and they want to develop one or more of their domains out?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little hard for me to say because I'm coming from the other side of things. But I guess my advice would be to either find somebody that is more technical that they could partner with, and somebody that they trust, and can work with them that way as a balance, as offering different set of skills. Or it may work where you could do some just hire a developer. And try to work that way. But I don't know. I guess that would be my suggestion.
Well, and Hacker News is full of programmers that get on there and evaluate things, but it's tough to meet new people. Is there a certain meetup that you would recommend that domainers go to try and meet more people in the hacker community, or how can investors meet people like you?
It's a good question. I mean, maybe I've met I've met so many people just online. I mean, like, for example, you. And so I think just try to hang out where hackers hang out, and start up conversations with them, and just find out, like, even just going on Hacker News and participating in the discussions there and stuff, and getting a feel for the different people there, and reaching out to different ones there. So
cool. Well, so it seems like WiseHive is a fantastic application, and it seems that Park.io is a fantastic application. Seems like you're batting 1,000 here, Mike. Have you ever developed an application that didn't take off?
Yeah, a lot of times.
What's one that you remember offhand?
Well, I made this one. I made this one website where you could type in like an email, a message, and then we would handwrite it out. You pay a small fee, and then we would handwrite a letter and mail it out to somebody. So I tried doing that with a friend for a little while, and that didn't really work. I mean, we got some buzz around it, like Pee Wee Herman tweeted about it, but
what was the domain you picked for that service?
Actually, we were using letters.io for that.
Letters.io.
Yeah. But since then, I let it expire.
See, it's too nice. You gotta put glitter in an envelope that forces people to spread it all over the place. Is that the problem? You're too nice?
I don't know. I don't know what the problem was with that. But I think, I think it's a good idea to like try a bunch of things, and if it doesn't work, don't stick with it too long. Like with this, I try to give things 3 months, and if you're not seeing the traction after 3 months, then just drop it, move on to the next thing. So
3 months? That doesn't seem like very much time.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
you try a lot of things is what you're saying.
I guess so. Maybe if there's something that I felt more strongly about, I might try longer. But
and how do you determine if a new service, let's call it, that you're offering is getting traction? Like, how did you determine that Park.io was one that you would keep versus Letters.io that you decided to close down?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, well, basically what it was is, so I didn't even launch Park.io. I put it up, and then suddenly I had an order. Like, I had an order without even telling anyone about it. And so I knew that was a sign right there, that suddenly people are placing orders, that this was a service that was needed. And then if people are willing to pay you, for your service, then that it's something, consistently, at month after month, if they're willing to do that, then I think that you have an idea that it's offering something of value.
Yeah, good advice. What's one domain that you own that you just love and wish you had time to develop?
There's a lot of ideas I have, and I would love to develop. I think that's a problem I have, is I just really want to move on to the next thing so many times. But a couple are, well, I like auction.io, and my work that I've done with the auction stuff on Park.io. I think it would be really cool on auction.io to have a API, a platform, or an API for auctions, where you could auction it. People could easily auction things themselves on their own websites, or using an API. So
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
they install a plugin, like a WordPress plugin that hooks into your architecture, and they check off the things that they want, like it's got a buy it now price, or it's got this functionality or that feature, and suddenly it's live. That would be awesome.
So maybe
you should do that one. All right. If you have additional questions for Mike, please post them in the comments below this video on Domain Sherpa, and I'll ask him to come back and answer as many as he can. I encourage you, the person who's watching this interview, to get out from behind your computer, reach out to people in the industry, in other industries that you think would be beneficial to you. Just like Mike said, you got to start meeting people and making connections if you want to find maybe somebody that can be your counterparts on a new business that you'd like to get out and launch. All you have to do is, start by posting a comment that says, "Thanks, Mike," or "I appreciate you telling your story and describing your service." Whatever you feel like posting, just start by posting a comment. I'm going to be the first to say thanks to Mike Carson. Thank you for coming on the Domain Sherpa show, sharing the inner workings of your drop catching service, Park.io. And thanks for being a Domain Sherpa for others.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.